The science of long-term love, what keeps couples together. A better idea of the variables that lead to interpersonal attraction and that are important in close relationships, you should be getting a pretty good idea of the things that partners need to do to help them stay together. It is true that many marriages end in divorce, and this number is higher in individualistic cultures, where the focus is on the individual, than it is in collectivistic cultures, where the focus is on maintaining group togetherness. But even in many Western countries, for instance, the United States, the number of divorces is falling, at least for the most educated segments of society. Kreider and Fields, 2001. Successful relationships take work, but the work is worth it. People who are happily married are also happier overall and have better psychological and physical health. And at least for men, marriage leads to a longer life. In part, the ideas that Britain's long-married couple Frank and Anita Milford have about what made their relationship so successful are probably correct. Let's look at some of the things that they seem to have done and compare them with what we might expect on the basis of social psychological research. Be prepared for squabbles. Every relationship has conflict. This is not unexpected or always bad. Working through minor conflicts can help you and your partner improve your social skills and make the relationship stronger. Don't be negative. Negative cognitions and emotions have an extremely harmful influence on relationships. Don't let a spiral of negative thinking and negative behaviors get started. Do whatever you can to think positively. Be fair in how you evaluate behaviors. Many people in close relationships, as do most people in their everyday lives, tend to inflate their own self-worth. They rate their own positive behaviors as better than their partner's, and rate their partner's negative behaviors as worse than their own. Try to give your partner the benefit of the doubt. Remember that you are not perfect either. Do things that please your partner. The principles of social exchange make it clear that being nice to others leads them to be nice in return. Have fun. Relationships in which the partners have positive moods and in which the partners are not bored tend to last longer. Partners who are able to remain similar in their values and other beliefs are going to be more successful. This seems to have been the case for Frank and Anita. They continued to share activities and interests. Partners must also display positive affect toward each other. Happy couples are in positive moods when they are around each other, they laugh together, and they express approval rather than criticism of each other's behaviors. Partners are happier when they view the other person in a positive or even idealized sense rather than in a more realistic and perhaps more negative one. Anita and Frank talked in their interview about how their time together was characterized by positive feelings and romance, and perhaps that helped them stay together. Next, the partners must share, in the sense that they are willing to express their thoughts about each other. Successful relationships involve individuals self-disclosing their own needs and desires, which allows their partners to become aware of their needs and attempt to meet them if possible. If the partners are not able to express their concerns, then the relationship cannot become more intimate. Successful relationships have successful communication patterns. Finally, but not least important, are sexual behaviors. Compatibility of sexual preferences and attitudes are an important predictor of relationship success. For instance, it is very important that partners are on the same page about how they feel about pursuing sex outside of the relationship, as infidelity in relationships is linked to increased risk of divorce. Even if a partner does not actually have sex with someone else, his or her partner may still be jealous, and jealousy can harm relationships. Jealousy is a powerful emotion that has been evolutionarily selected to help maintain close relationships. Both men and women experience jealousy, although they experience it to different extents and in different ways. Men are more jealous than women overall. And men are more concerned than women about sexual infidelities of their partners, whereas women are relatively more concerned about emotional infidelities of their partners. Men's concern with sexual cheating is probably due in part to evolutionary factors related to kin selection. Men need to be particularly sure that their partners are sexually faithful to them to ensure that the time they spend raising children is spent on raising their own children, not those of others. And women's concern with emotional fidelity fits with a focus on maintaining the relationship intact. Flirting suggests that the man is not really committed to the relationship and may leave it. When relationships end, inevitably, some relationships do break up, and these separations may cause substantial pain. When the partners have been together for a long time, particularly in a relationship characterized by interdependence and commitment, the pain is even greater. The pain of a breakup is in part due to the loneliness that results from it. People who lose someone they care about also lose a substantial amount of social support, and it takes time to recover and develop new social connections. Lonely people sleep more poorly, take longer to recover from stress, and show poorer health overall. The pain of a loss may be magnified when people feel that they have been rejected by the other. The experience of rejection makes people sad, angry, more likely to break social norms, and more focused on self-concern. The ability to effectively self-regulate is lowered, and people are more likely to act on their impulses. But people who have been rejected are also more motivated by other concern. They are particularly likely to try to make new friends to help make up for the rejection. Although people who have been rejected are particularly hurt, people who have rejected others may feel guilty about it. Breaking up is painful, but people do recover from it, and they usually move on to find new relationships. Margaret Strobe and her colleagues found that people adjusted to the loss of a partner, even one with whom they had been with for a long time, although many did have increased psychological difficulties, at least in the short term. The science tells us that romantic love can last and more than we often give it credit for. As a culture, we tend to be pretty cynical about the prospect of romantic love, as opposed to the other, love's lust and long-term attachment, enduring over time and through obstacles, and for good reason. Roughly 50% of marriages end in divorce, with 2.4 million U.S. couples splitting in 2012. And among those that stay together, marital dissatisfaction is common. In long-term partnerships that do succeed, romantic love tends to fade into companionship and a love more akin to friendship than to that of a couple in love. But no matter how cynical we are about the prospect of lifelong love, it still seems to be what most Americans are after. Romantic love is increasingly viewed as an essential component of a marriage, with 91% of women and 86% of American men reporting that they would not marry someone who had every quality they wanted in a partner but with whom they were not in love. This type of love is good for both our marriages and our health. Romantic love free from the craving and obsession of the early stages of falling in love can and does frequently exist in long-term marriages, research has found, and it's correlated with marital satisfaction and individual well-being and self-esteem. Although science has given us some insight on the nature of love and romantic relationships, this fundamental domain of human existence remains something of a mystery. Love, particularly the long-lasting kind, has been called one of the most studied and least understood areas in psychology. There may be more questions than answers at this point, but we do know that both being in love and being married are good for your physical and mental health. And psychologists who study love, marriage, and relationships have pinpointed a number of factors that contribute to long-lasting romantic love. If you find this video useful, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.